Hi guys, welcome on this video showing how to disassembly and clean or possibly do a jet kit on Buell Blast. So let's see what we gotta do. I'm gonna start with taking the 4 bolts off on a float bowl. Okay. You have a gasket here. Check that if the gasket it's really flat. It might have leaks there, so you're gonna need to replace it. Put that aside. Here we got our float, our main jet with the motion tube, and inside here is our idle jet way down there. If you're doing a jet kit, you're gonna need to drill this out. On this carburetor it already has been drilled out. A little screw, which is the air and gas mixture screw. Normally with the jet kit you have to open it up some more than the factory. The jet kit comes with the drill. You just gotta be careful. You only want to drill through the little cap. You don't want to mess up the top of the adjuster screw right there. So now we're gonna take off our float right there and both of the jets and the float needle beneath. I have this little tool that I came up with. It's really great. This is actual originally it was a punch. Makes it like an impact motion. So I filed it down so it's flat here and the diameter is small. So when you have a stubborn pins like this one, instead beating on it with the hammer, which you can in fact break these brackets and the carburetor is ruined, this is a lot safer way to do it. So you see with the one impact motion it knocked it right out. Okay, our pin is out. So next, our float needle, it's hanging on the float. It has a little spring that holds it right on it. So when you're putting it back together, make sure it's like this. It actually stay on it, and you can suspend it right back down to the seat. The allergen is way down here. You don't want to strip the head, so make sure you got a good screwdriver. This is what the idle jet looks like. And since this carburetor already has the jet kit in it, this motion tube looks slightly different than the original one. It has 2 flat sides right here, so 8mm wrench will fit on it. This is our motion tube. When you're cleaning your carburetors, you want to make sure all these holes are clean, and of course the main jet. Same with your idle jet. You want to make sure all these holes are clean, and so is the main one. I'm only taking this carburetor out to show you how to do the job. This carburetor is fine, so it's only for the video. This opening here is for your choke. It has to be clean as well, and you can't take it off, so it's got to be cleaned on the carburetor. The best tool that I found, if you rip one hair out of your basic wire brush, steel wire brush, it's the greatest tool, and if you lose it, you got plenty more in that wire brush. So once you get it, just make sure you run all these through. See, this is clean. You can run all the jets through it. Now the other important part is right here. A lot of people make the mistake. See this little piece right in here? Let me point to it. Once you take that motion tube out and you manipulate, see how loose it is? It'll come right off. I'm gonna take it out. Okay, here it is. That's the piece that so many times people lose and they don't even realize it. you take the carburetor apart, you start moving the body here and there, and you don't realize that this piece comes out as well. It falls out down to the ground, you don't see it. The bike will not run. It will run super rich, it will run like crap if you don't have this piece in there. It's kind of a guide for the needle. So it goes in that this rounded part fits right at the end of the motion tube. There's a part that kind of has a recess, that's the part that goes up. So when you're putting it back together, I always recommend take this piece out while you're cleaning your carburetor. When you're putting it back together, drop this piece in first, and then as you can see it starts coming out right there, and then tighten up your jet. I'm gonna drop the idle jet back in, because like I said, this carburetor is clean and it already has a jet kit in it. Okay, so my two jets are back in. The other part that you want to take apart, the other piece that you have to take apart for a jet kit is the top of the carburetor for the diaphragm, because you got to replace the needle over here. So let me show you how that looks. Okay, to get to the top diaphragm, we got to loosen these 4 upper Phillips head screws, and also one on the side that holds this bracket, so you can move that bracket out of the way. So you don't have to take that all the way out, just loosen it. Okay. The other thing that you want to pay attention to is this little insert that it's right underneath the bracket. I'll put that aside. Now I can lift the cover. There's a spring here. With the jet kit you will get a different spring, so this you will have to replace it. And then the diaphragm sits in this groove over here. Most of the time it falls right into the place, no problem. Sometimes if they are a little bit older, might have a little trouble with it. So the trick that I got for that is I use this super glue, and if I have a problem, I put like a 4 or 5 dots all around the cycle, really small ones, into the groove, and that helps hold the diaphragm in place, because it's very important that this diaphragm doesn't get pinched. This also goes in only one way. It goes in this way it won't fit, so you don't have to be worried about trying to remember which way it was. You drop it in. See, most of the times you're gonna have this situation, it kind of falls right into the groove, but be very careful and make sure this diaphragm is seated properly. So now if you're doing a jet kit, I'm gonna hold this up. There's a spacer that the spring fits into, kind of like this, and then your needle. The main difference between the OEM needle and the jet kit one is that this one is adjustable. So if you look at it, let me focus the camera here. If you look at it, there's the grooves in it, so you just follow your instructions in the jet kit. Then in this instant I got 3 washers on top. The reason why they're on top, so this piece will put a pressure on it, so there is no free play. So what I like to do, I put the washers on first, then I put my finger down here so I can hold it in place, and then I slowly drop it down, because it's otherwise impossible to assemble this. You can't be dropping it from here, it's not gonna work. And this one you can just simply drop down, fall in place. Then I like to put this spring in and hold the spring down, and make sure there's no free play on this. You can't, if this moves back and forth, just make sure that you reseat this plastic part, because that means it's not all the way down. Okay, so that's as far as your needle replacement will go, and I think that's about it. You don't have to mess with the electrical choke, the throttle position sensor. This one has added a fuel filter, a good idea to do on older bikes anyway. And that's it. If your carburetor is dirty and you're cleaning it, when you got to disassemble it to this point, you use your carburetor cleaner, clean everything up. Your jets, you put it back together, and you're good to go. So hopefully this is helpful for you, and please subscribe. Appreciate it. Have a good one.